Grace Ly, and I am here with my father, Marty Ohlhaut, the co-author of our debut book, Tent for Seven. And we just wanted to do a Q&A with you guys. We've had a lot of questions about the book, and so we thought, let's do a Q&A and answer some questions. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the book, just to give you a brief synopsis, Tent for Seven took place 29 years, 30 years ago on a family camping trip to the Canadian Rockies where things just went south. But at the same time, we had a lot of really positive experiences with mysterious people who really just came out of nowhere to help our family. Throughout the book, there are flashbacks from my dad's trip 52 years ago, when he and some of his friends got into a van after they graduated from college, and road tripped out west.
Yeah, 10 weeks, 10,000 miles.
So you can imagine what that was like. Five guys in their 20s in a old, cargo van doodling around out west. Nothing to write about, I'm sure, in that trip. But the question we get the most often is, did all of this stuff really happen?
And the short answer is yes.
Yes, it did. Next question.
It all happened, which I think is what kind of makes such an unbelievable, because it's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, in fact, I pretty much wrote the original manuscript for the tent as a post-traumatic stress relief.
Writing therapy, therapeutic writing.
Yes, and it was to get it off my chest, because I'd be laying awake at 1 o'clock at night thinking about the trip and going, well, instead of thinking about it, maybe I should write this down.
Right. So he was writing at 3 a.m. while the rest of us were asleep.
As opposed to
having a therapy session with himself at 3 a.m.
And my writing was mostly laptops. I guess this was early on in the days of laptops, but I would be clicking away. And
are you sure you weren't on a typewriter?
I don't know what
How old are you?
I don't know what I was doing.
Well, I wrote my portion on a laptop, if anybody was curious.
But the point being, it was meant to get it off my chest. And when you get stuff off your chest, you don't want to be making it up.
Right.
So,
it's all the true stuff that happened.
So what I wrote down was as close as I can remember it. But the version you get in the original manuscript was my perspective. And the same with the Out West trip, the West trip.
The Out West trip, when I found the manuscript many years later, because I was 14 when my dad was having his PTSD from the trip, I was completely unaware that I was a 14-year-old. I was focused on myself and nobody else, so I was completely oblivious to.
Now, that didn't change the whole.
Yeah. And in my 40s, I'm still the same way. I've gotten a little better, but I was completely unaware of what was going on, and it wasn't until it was like 2008 when I remembered that my dad had written about this trip, and I'm like, I should go back and read that, and I did. And for me, the Wild West stories were the ones that I said, did all of this stuff really happen? I mean, my dad, he's 20 and he's out with his five guys, and I'm like, did you really do this? Did you really go to a nudist beach? I don't want to know about that.
Where did you find this? How did you find this? I didn't know where it was.
But even that stuff that happens in that story, I'm like, did that really happen? I mean, I was asking the same questions that we always get, did this really happen? And it did. And to me, the Wild West stories are what convinced me to turn the whole journal into a book that people, just for everybody to read, because I just thought those stories were so crazy. And you combine that with all of the things that happened to us as a family in the Canadian Rockies, it's just
unbelievable, but it's all true. I think that helps with the enjoyment of the story, is that this stuff is all really did happen.
Yeah. And speaking of the mysterious people that came into the story throughout our trip, another question that we get is, after this trip happened and all these people just miraculously showed up at the right place in the right time, like, has that changed your outlook or your opinion on, like, do you now believe in divine intervention or karma, or that things happen for a reason? Because in the book, when you read it, you'll see, like, it's like thing after thing after thing happened to the point where you're like, can this just be a coincidence anymore? I mean, so many people show up.
It's hard not to be affected a little bit. It's not hard to come away going, it's not hard not to say, there's there's got to be some karma out there.
Something.
Don't know exactly what karma is, but
Something's going on.
something's going on. And at the same time, well, all these good things happen, but the bad things happen first.
Yeah, so
But then the good
wouldn't it
things
just be
that
better
happen-
if the bad things never
Skip
happened so
those.
you wouldn't need the good things or the good people to
But-
pop up when you need them? But
We'd be interested in what people think.
it's such a good question. I mean, it's such a debatable topic. Like, do things happen for a reason? Do people come into your life at a specific time? Does divine intervention exist? And I guess we were going to wrap up our questions for today with we're going to throw it back and ask you that question. Believe in divine intervention. Have you had an experience where you were in trouble and somebody showed up and you just thought this can't be just a coincidence? And has it changed your perspective on life and your beliefs? I'd love to know.
We'd love to hear your thoughts and
Yeah, and if you have,
experiences.
we'll be doing these Q&As every weekend until our book comes out. So we've got about 10 Q&A sessions, and we're very happy to answer any other questions. If you want to leave us questions in the comments below, or you can email me through my website, we'd love to answer some more questions. We really enjoy doing these. So we'll see you next weekend.
Thank you.
All right.